You see, when we wear these personas, when we wear these masks, and we forget who we are, that these personas, that this personality that we have developed, which was intended to be a tool in our experience of having a human life, but we identified with it. And it was masking our true identity, our divine identity, our identity as a holy and beloved child of God. That we forgot who we are. And in that being masked, we suffer. It's painful. It hurts. It's hard. It's difficult to not be who you came here to be.
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today on True Thought. It's my pleasure and honor to be your host today. I'm Brother T, one of the co-founders of True Thought. The other co-founder is my beautiful wife, Rev René. She's going to be your inspirational speaker today. I would invite you also, if you find value, click the like button. If you would help us out, that'll help the YouTube system to share this with more people to get this message of truth. Also, you can find us online at truethought.org. You can find us on our Facebook page at One True Thought. And also, we do appreciate if you'd like to join our email list. You'll get invitations to the intimate gatherings we have online with Zoom sessions where we get together and we discuss the principles of True Thought. We're so glad that you're here today. Before we begin, I'm going to ask you to join me and take a good deep breath right now, and let's just join together in a moment of silence. As we come together, I'm so very grateful for this time with you and that you're spending this time with our community, and we truly are blessed because of your presence. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my beautiful wife, Rev René, for her inspirational message today. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello and welcome. Rev René here. So very grateful that you are joining us this day for this amazing conversation that we're about to have. But before we dive in, I would just love it if we would connect together just for a moment. So I'm just going to invite you to take a breath, to become aware of your presence right where you are, right as you are. And that we just pause in this infinite, eternal now, turning within to the heart space, wherever we are, that when we turn within, we meet in the same place, the heart and mind of God, the heart and mind of all that is. And herein we are connected as one. And from this oneness, I just bless this time together. I call it good and very good. I call forth being self-emptied and God-filled, that I just get out of my own way today and allow Spirit to have full sway with this conversation. I call forth a divine receptivity of all those who are in the vibratory field of this conversation. And that somehow we're all just touched, moved, and inspired and made new this day. This is what I claim. This is how I bless this time together. And I say, thank you, Mother, Father, God. And so it is. Amen and amen. And we begin to open our eyes if they were closed, and we gaze at one another in this holy instant and know that we are connected, that we are one. And so I am really excited about this conversation. We are going to have a conversation about masks. We're going to explore what masks we each wear and what the prospect of unmasking has for each of us, that the value that it has. And so just to put this in context, because who knows when people are going to tune into this conversation, but I am recording this just before Halloween, October 28th, 29th. No, actually, it's October 30th, 2020. And so in the United States, I'm in my home in Nashville, Tennessee, and we are experiencing globally and collectively the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic. And there was one wave, and now we're in a second wave. And, masks are up again. So we've been through a period of wearing masks and social distancing and everything that this has meant for our lives, all the ways that it has changed our lives. And here we go again. And so I thought, what a great time right before Halloween to have a conversation about masks. And I got to tell you, my experience of wearing masks, I do wear a mask when I'm out and about in the world, but I'm not somebody who's wearing them all day long. And the short period of times when I've been wearing a mask, oh my gosh, if I'm wearing my eyeglasses, they fog up, I get really hot. Sometimes my glasses actually fall off my face. And then one of the things I've noticed is that I think I might be hard of hearing. I didn't realize how much I relied upon reading somebody's lips and having that help with the communication process. I also noticed that when we look at one another, that half of our communication device called our face is it being masked, that sometimes we miss cues that we normally would see if we were unmasked. And so what my experience of masking is that it inhibits communication. It inhibits my ability to know what you're saying, as well as to be heard and to be seen. But this is a disclaimer here that this is not a conversation about whether you or I or anybody should wear these masks. I'm interested as a spiritual leader, I'm interested in the symbolism, because what I believe is that everything that is in our world of form and appearances is simply reflecting back to us our own individual and collective consciousness, which means our individual and collective belief system, our preferences, our opinions, our prevailing thought patterns, if you will. And so the world is reflecting this back to us. And so it's incumbent upon us to, as individuals and as those on a spiritual journey seeking to awaken in this experience, to look at what this might mean for us. So what I know is that when I started to look into the history of masks, that depending upon the culture, depending upon the era in which humans used masks of a whole variety, the meaning of it differs and the implication of it differs. And so it can be anything from the playfulness of wearing masks for Halloween or for masquerade parties to theatrical performances. And masks have been used in rites of passage, from adolescence to adulthood, or in shamanic journeys of identifying the totem that represents your soul or your spirit. Masks have been used to veil and protect identity and to protect the body, as we are now experiencing it in this iteration, to the psychological enhancement of attraction, to modesty, and as a means of stifling expression and as a means of control. So we see this whole thing, but what I want to focus on today is what our brother and our friend Shakespeare talks about. And what he says is this. He says, all the world is a stage. All the world is a stage. And all of the men and women, all of the people on that stage are just players in this drama called life. And each has their own entrance and their own exit, and each plays many roles in a lifetime. And so I know for myself, and I'm going to invite you to think about this for yourself. I know that my theatrical debut in this experience started really early in my life. In fact, all of us were born into a certain culture, we're born into certain families, and from that moment, we begin to take on the characters and the roles based upon where we landed in this experience. I know for myself that I took on the role of being a daughter, being female. I was the youngest daughter of four girls. I was raised in the Northwest Ohio, so I'm in the United States and the culture here, but I'm also in the culture of Ohio and born to an Italian father and a Bulgarian mother. And so there were all of these different aspects of my personality connected with that. And I remember that at a very young age, my mother would call me by the name. And the name that she would call me was Angel. She called me Angel. And I believed that that was my name because, well, that's what my mother was calling me. And she'd say it was so much love. And I remember when I went to kindergarten and she's introducing me to the teacher. And she says, and this little girl, my daughter, is Claudia. And I looked up at my mother and I'm like, wait a second. I thought my name was Angel. And I was completely confused and completely disappointed. You see, for all that time, I thought I was my mother's little angel. And now I was. But I had this different name. And as my life continued on, I took on the personality and the persona of the character of this child who grew up in this particular family. And the persona of Angel also became another persona as I grew up. And when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I remember it was a line of demarcation in my family because my oldest sister moved away. And she was somebody who saw who I was, who knew who I was, who encouraged me in life, who told me I was smart and intelligent, told me I was going to go away to college. Well, as it turned out, she was about to go away to college. And when she left the house, nothing was ever the same for me again. Now, she'd come back, but she was moving on in her life. And I remember there was so much chaos in my family at that time, and I didn't realize how she was a stabilizing force in my life. And with her gone, all I remember is watching the chaos and drama unfolding in my family. We're all doing the best that we could. But over the next few years, I remember deciding that I was going to be that angel. I was going to be that good girl. I was not going to make any waves in my family. And I began to don the mask that everything was okay, even though there was trauma, even though there was pain. I put on a persona and a mask where I was okay. And I became very quiet. And I wasn't going to make any waves. And I just watched and observed everything. Now, the reason I love the idea of going towards the theater and Shakespeare's quote of all the world's the stage, and that we're all playing these different roles, is because those roles correlate to the masks that we wear. And those masks metaphysically represent the personality that we develop. We all develop a personality, and we're all kind of fond. Well, some of us are fond of our personality. There are aspects of it that we really love. And yet there are also aspects of it that we don't care about so much. But the word personality, it actually has its etymology in the idea of persona, which actually means and was what was referred to as the masks that actors wore in a play. Now, what do actors do? They take on a role and a character that is different from what their true nature is. What do actors do? They play that role according to the mask, according to the persona that is assigned to them. And everybody in the play plays their role. And what do audiences do? Audiences come to the theatrical performance and they suspend their disbelief, which means that they suspend their belief of knowing that's an actor, and they believe the character that they're playing, and they go along with it. Now, the masks that we wear and the personas that we have are just fine. They can be fun and playful. But when we take them seriously is when they become harmful. When we take them seriously and believe that they are actually who we are is when we get in trouble. You see, the masks that we wear, they can help us during times of trouble, trauma and trouble. But at some point, they begin to hinder us, and they hinder us when we begin to mask the feelings that we experience in our life, and we become untruthful with what is really happening. You see, that little girl that I was, she was really hurting inside. She was really struggling. But because she hid behind the mask of everything's okay, I am good, I am okay, hiding behind that mask, she began to stuff down her feelings and her emotions. And in the best way she could cope, as she got older, those coping skills didn't work anymore in life. And she began to forget who she was. And she had lost her voice because she didn't want to make any waves or cause any trouble. There's this story that I want to share with you. And the story is, imagine that you're at a pool and you have this beach ball. It's a big beach ball, like this big, and you're in about, waist high water. And you've got this beach ball and you've got it submerged under the water. And you've got your persona going. Everything's fine, everything's okay, whatever your persona is. And meanwhile, everything that you're suppressing, all of the feelings, all of the emotions that might be connected with life that are hiding under the mask of your persona is that beach ball, and you've got it submerged under the water. And you're smiling and you're playing your role, and meanwhile, you're just trying to keep this under the surface. And you're spinning a couple plates, doing your other roles in life, and you're still trying to keep that beach ball submerged under the water. And what happens at some point is you just can't do it any longer, and it pops out at the worst possible time, and it flies out from underneath the water above the surface, and maybe it hits somebody. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed. And that's what our projections are. They're the things that we've tried to submerge and disown about ourselves. And at some point in life, they just kind of come out and shoot out, and we project them, sometimes on purpose and sometimes not. And it hurts other people, and we feel bad about that. You see, when we wear these personas, when we wear these masks, and we forget who we are, that these personas, that this personality that we have developed, which was intended to be a tool in our experience of having a human life, but we identified with it. And it was masking our true identity, our divine identity, our identity as a holy and beloved child of God. That we forgot who we are. And in that being masked, we suffer. It's painful. It hurts. It's hard. It's difficult to not be who you came here to be. Now, that little girl who was wearing that persona, because she didn't share what was going on with her, she went through life with a whole bunch of those beach balls just popping out all over the place, right? I want to say that when we become willing to ask the question, what are the masks that I'm wearing and what is it masking in me? That we can begin to get in touch with ourselves, what our feelings are, what our emotions are. And sometimes it may not feel good, and sometimes it may not be pretty. And sometimes it might be uncomfortable, and sometimes you might cry. Sometimes you might feel angry. But the message here is to begin to let that out, to sit with the self, to sit with a friend, and to share what's going on so that you can let this out, so that you can begin to let that mask go and unmask your true identity in this world. So, we remove these masks and we reveal who we are when we become willing to ask the question, what is this masking in me? Now, over the next week, we have a lot going on in our world. And when you have a reaction, I'm going to say to just observe how you're feeling and what your experience is. And to begin to do it without judgment, to do it with gentleness, love, with interest. Oh my, isn't that interesting? I notice I'm reactionary. I notice that I am having emotions and feelings here. You know what? That's okay. I'm going to inquire what they're about. I'm not going to be serious. I am going to be light and even playful in my inquiry. I'm going to be curious and inquisitive. What is this masking in me? What is it here to teach me? What, when I witness this in another, what is it masking in them? What does it reveal? And most importantly, how can I meet myself and others with tenderness, understanding, and with love? Take a breath with me. Brother T last week gave this really great talk, and it was about there are only ever two emotions, love and fear, and that there are ever only two responses, love or fear, and that when individuals are reacting, and when individuals let that beach ball pop out and hit somebody, that we can remember it's a cry for love. And he talked about that all the world as the stage is only reflecting back to us our own consciousness. And today, and he actually asked the question, what is it mirroring in me? And today we're adding the question, and what is it masking in myself and another? What's it hiding? How come I can't breathe? How come I can't breathe? It's because I've got this mask and this persona on that needs to be released. The questions, what is this mirroring and what is this masking, are the prelude to our teaching of true forgiveness. I want to invite you to join us on Wednesday, where we will be delving into this masking and this mirroring of the last two messages as the prelude to true forgiveness. It will be the day after our election here in the United States. I'm going to invite you to join that premiere and then join us on a Zoom call where we're going to have a conversation with one another. And we're going to talk about what's being mirrored and what's being masked and how we can move towards forgiveness so that we can unmask the false personas that we have taken on, that we can look at that with innocence and even playfulness. Man, did I play my role well? Boy, did you play your role well. And with that innocence and playfulness, so that we can return to love. That's what we are talking about here. There's no better time to do it. Each of us is worthy of it. And I just can't wait as we walk forth together, unmasked, and allowing our authentic selves to have full sway with our experience of this life. And so the curtain comes down on our theatrical performance and it goes back up. We're unmasked. We've let go of the persona. We hold the hand of our brother and our sister, those who we might have called friend, those who we might have called foe, and we say, man, good job, great performance. And we take our bow and we rise and remember who we are and that we can play a new play in this experience called life. I love you. Thank you for joining us. Have a beautiful day, and we'll see you Wednesday. Namaste.
I invite you to join me now in saying thank you, Rev René, for such a beautiful, beautiful message. It was just very inspiring. You've touched my heart, as you always do. But these true thought principles bring an energy and bring a vibration that is absolutely recognizable. And you have a gift, and thank you so much for sharing it with us today. I also want to say thank you for being present with us today as mighty companions and as part of the True Thought spiritual community. Your presence is an absolute blessing to everyone in this community because we hold this energy together. And it's very, very important. It's very, very important to the world. I also want to say that I want to invite you now to participate in one of our True Thought principles. It's called giving and receiving are one. In other words, we cannot receive what we're not willing to give. It's the immutable law of love. It really can't change up on you, and it's literally the way things work. We can never receive what we're not willing to give. And so with that said, if you'd like to make a contribution to our spiritual community today, it'll help us to share this word with more people. If you find value, you can make a contribution and you can help us support this community to get this word out to more people. We know that more people are coming, but our contributions, your contributions, absolutely help us to expedite that, to raise this vibration for other people as we reach out across the world. So we're really blessed by your presence, and we're certainly blessed by your willingness to support this community and this ministry. So God bless you for that. What's next? I want to say that Inside the Message is one of my most favorite things to do with my wife. We literally sit down and we have a discussion, a conversation, a casual conversation nonetheless, about the message that you've just heard. Every week, our inspirational message is followed by a video that we call Inside the Message. And we have a lot of fun. We really unpack some of the nuances of the teachings. In addition to that, right after we do that, we offer you the opportunity to join us for a live interactive Zoom session on Zoom, right? You can sign up for that. If you'd like to be part of our inner circle, that's how you can get a link to that Zoom session. And just go to our website, truethought.org, and there you'll find a place for you to sign up for our email list, the Inner Circle. So just join the Inner Circle, and then you'll start getting emails and notifications about our Zoom sessions, other gatherings that we're doing, other meetups that we're doing. We may be doing one locally where you are in the not too distant future. So certainly would like you to participate in that by just simply joining our email list. You can also find us on Facebook. Please like and share every chance you get. That also helps us to spread the word that this ministry is here to bring. And God bless you for supporting us and your presence. Again, thank you so much. It's been my honor to be your host today. I just want to say, let's join together now for another brief moment of silence. Let's take another good deep breath. Thank you, Spirit, for being with us today throughout this inspirational message. Thank you for being with us in this energy of love. Thank you for being present for us to be able to connect and join you in union and relationship. We are truly blessed by this teaching. We are truly blessed by these true thought principles. And we are blessed by being in the presence of this spiritual community, joined as one in mind for the purpose of love. Well, God bless you all. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic week, and we'll return soon. Bye-bye.